We're with Coach Boynton. The Cowboys have won 7 of their last 9 as we work our way into mid-February. And, you know, there's been an improvement, obviously, last 4 weeks or so. We've talked a lot about the lineup change, playing smaller, but what else has led to that, the improvement?
I think the consistency that the guys are playing with in terms of their role within our team. You know, and that changes over the course of the season, particularly when you have your key guys go down and other guys have to step up into different roles than they were expected to be. You know, John Michael Wright's a great example of that. You know, he came into the season expecting to be basically a full-time facilitator, but a guy finding his spots with his ability to score still. And now with Avery out, he's had to take on the scoring burden a little bit more, and he's embraced that. But the consistency that you get to do that with gives you confidence over time. And then obviously Caleb Boone's production over the last month or so has been phenomenal for us. And now Musa Cisse getting used to his role coming off the bench and being a defensive presence for us in that regard. And then a guy like Woody Newton, who's been pretty consistent up until Tuesday. But you know that happens every now and then. The kid maybe hits a bump in the road. You just got to keep moving forward and understanding what it's going to take to have success in a league as tough as ours.
So you have, and it's sort of funny to say it this way, only 3 new guys, Keon Williams, John Michael Wright, and Caleb Asberry transferred in. How much easier do you think it is, or is it easier, to sort of evolve and manage the changes in your lineup, the injuries, the changing of roles when you have the core of your team back that's been in your program for a while versus a lot of teams now that have basically a brand new team?
Yeah, you look around, there are a lot of guys with 8, 9, 10 new guys. And basically all of their primary players are guys who are new to the program. And so even a team like Iowa State, you got Grail and Kauscher who've been there, but everybody else who really plays for them is first year. Trey King, Lipsy, obviously Jaron Holmes, Ushini. And so sometimes, especially for guys who have to start immediately, it takes a little bit longer. For us, the benefit of having guys who have been around our program, although they have been in different roles, they know the system, they understand the terminology. They've seen other guys have to adapt to those same type of roles during their career. So it definitely gives you an added advantage as you make those changes, whether it be lineup or offensive adjustments, because it's not totally new. It's things that maybe they've seen before, but we haven't done with this particular team yet.
Speaking of new roles, Caleb Asberry is now the starter, obviously taking the place of Avery Anderson, who's been injured. He's a very good defender. I think if you ask Caleb Grill of Iowa State, he would probably agree because he did a fantastic job on him in your outstanding win over Iowa State on the road. So if you would, tell us about Caleb as a defender, how he's maybe different than Avery. I mean, Avery Anderson's locked up a bunch of guys this year. How's Caleb a little different than him defensively, yet the outcomes are the same?
Well, it's interesting because their body types look similar, but their skill set on that end of the floor, which people don't really understand what that means. They have great feet, great anticipation. They kind of really do a good job of studying the opponent. Avery's got a little bit more of a physically imposing presence, even though he's only 170 pounds. It's crazy to say that. Caleb Grill does it more with the psychological part
Caleb
of the
Asberry.
game. Caleb Asberry
Yes.
does it more with the psychological aspect of the game. He's a little bit of a talker, and he'll get in the guy's head and he'll talk about whether his shot's going in or maybe something a little bit more personal and make it to where the guy's uncomfortable dealing with him. And he doesn't mind, getting the foul here and there or giving an extra bump at the end. Nothing dirty or malicious, but something that makes the offensive player aware that he's really, really focused on doing that job that night.
Oh, fantastic. And again, we witnessed that at Iowa State. Speaking of Iowa State, you handed the Cyclones their first home loss of the season. No one had beaten them up there. Obviously, the win has value as far as your tournament resume is concerned. But what's the benefit psychologically? Because you'd gone to Oklahoma and won. That's a big win. But the reality is Iowa State, again, had not lost at home. Very, very hard team to beat on the road in the top 20. What's the psychological benefit of that?
Well, one of the things that doesn't go unnoticed on our staff, and we kind of put that on our team, is they're one of the teams at the top of the league.
Yep.
And are in contention still to win the conference regular season championship. We put ourselves in a tough spot having lost to the top 2 teams in the league, being swept by both. But the opportunity to beat a team that is in contention, that's at the top of the league on the road, the way we needed to do it. It's not like we shot 60% from 3 and had this tremendous onslaught offensively.
Right.
We did it with the grinding defensive possessions, with getting stops and rebounds, and then making timely baskets and taking advantage of those situations. So I think as you move forward, these games here in the last 3 weeks have all felt like tournament games. You find different ways to figure it out. Maybe a new guy emerges, maybe somebody else takes a big shot, or somebody's responsible for getting a stop, and you just carry that momentum as you move into the end of February and on into March.
So Kansas rolls into town, and of course Avery Anderson is out. Prolific defenders we've established. But now really for the first time you're facing a team with multiple prolific scorers without Avery. So what's that adjustment going to be like? And what did you learn from the Kansas game? Because Kansas State brings that to the table. TCU, if Mike Miles brings that to the table, if he's back, that is. Baylor brings that to the table. So what's that look like?
As I reflect on the Kansas game, and they played really, really well, so give them credit for having a really good game plan. They shot the ball really, really well, and I think we tried to play their game, which they're a little bit better at than we are on the offensive end. But what I learned is defensively, we could have probably made a little bit more adjustments, maybe changing our defenses a little bit more to keep them off balance. I think they got in a really good rhythm, and as a coach, my job at that point is to try to make them adjust to something that we're changing. We didn't do that. So something, if we see them in the conference tournament, that we'll look at for sure. And then obviously when you have to get to the free throw line and make your free throws, you have to make your layups, and you can't have turnovers when they're already getting easy baskets. That just fuels their offensive confidence.
So you're in a great position to make the NCAA tournament, obviously, with this wonderful run. How much attention do you give to that with the guys? Do you talk about it with them, or you just say, you know what, they know what's going on? I mean, how do you manage that?
Well, we talk about it because we know that they know what's going on.
Gotcha. So you can't fool them.
We want to make sure that they are getting good information, though. We want to make sure that they're not just looking at their uncle's bracketology, when they go home for the weekend and just assuming it's going to be 10 Big 12 teams and 3 teams for the SEC.
Got it.
It's going to be a really good field this year, and we're in good position. But the key that we focus on is how do we control putting ourselves in best position when we get there to have an opportunity to advance, because you don't want to just get there. You want to continue to play once you get there. You want to be a part of the show. You want to be one of the teams that's expected to have success in it, and that certainly requires you to continue to play well as you finish up conference play. We got 5 home games left. Our next home game is Senior Day for 7 seniors who put a lot of work into this program. So we hope to have a great crowd and give them a chance to finish their homestand here, because if you play in the NCAA tournament, this will be the last time playing in this building. So we want those guys to have a great experience as they finish strong here at home, and then move into Kansas City and see if we can continue to just move up and improve how we're playing. It's still a lot of the focus is on getting better as a team. We still haven't played our best basketball yet, although we've played much better in the last month.
So now we're about to embark upon a very unique road trip. Unlike anything that I've experienced in my time here, we're going to go to TCU, play Saturday afternoon, then head straight to Morgantown, West Virginia, and play the Mountaineers Monday night at 6 in Morgantown. Any concerns about the uniqueness of that trip, or does it make any difference?
Well, we haven't done it in my time, here in terms of Saturday, Monday, back-to-back road. We've done back-to-back road, but it's usually a weekday, then a weekend. But I don't know if I try to put too much in the psychology of it. The truth is everybody through the league has to deal with it to a certain degree. For us, it's a great opportunity to play 2 teams that we've played already. We've beaten both of them, albeit at home. And we need to focus on how do we get better? How do we put ourselves in the best position to play well in Fort Worth Saturday? And if we do that and take care of business, and then Saturday night at some point we'll flip our attention to West Virginia. But before that, our focus totally will be on playing well in Fort Worth, an area where honestly we haven't had a ton of success in my time.
So as far as TCU now versus when you saw them before, anything different, and what do you expect?
Very similar from when we played them. Now, obviously, at that point, Mike Miles had already been out, and then Eddie Lampkin was out. He's back, so that gives him another post interior presence that can score. And so there's a different element there physically for us inside that makes him an even better rebounding team. That probably makes them a little bit more dynamic in terms of the depth they can go to. And so if Miles is back, that adds to that. What we got to do is prepare to play our best basketball Saturday at 1 and see if we can put ourselves in position where in the last 4 minutes we'll have a chance to win.
So the Cowboys moving closer to an NCAA tournament bid and a big road trip coming up. We'll see you next week.